was one of the most watched diplomatic moments of the decade. On June 12, 2018, U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong Un shook hands for the cameras. Among Kim's promises that day was that North Korea would dismantle its Sohae Satellite Launching Station, the remote facility where the regime tests its most dangerous rockets. It was a lie. Fast forward to July 2025, and satellite imagery reveals something that should surprise no one familiar with North Korean duplicity. Not only has Kim rebuilt everything he promised to destroy, but he's been busy constructing something entirely new. The Sohai Satellite Launching System represents the crown jewel of North Korea's rocket program. Built over more than a decade, beginning in the early 1990s, this sprawling facility covers around 2 1/3 square miles of remote coastline in North Pyongan province, making it 5 times larger than North Korea's other launch site at Sohai. Construction was completed by 2011, creating a complex system of launch pads, rocket assembly buildings, fuel storage facilities, and underground bunkers designed to support the regime's most ambitious space and missile projects. Since its first official launch in 2012, Sohai has served as the primary testing ground for North Korea's long-range rocket capabilities. The facility houses 2 distinct launch pads, the main pad, equipped with a tower and gantry system, and a more recently constructed coastal launch pad. Supporting infrastructure includes specialized vehicle checkout buildings, launch control centers, and observation posts where Kim Jong Un himself has monitored past tests. Given the facility's central role in North Korea's weapons development, Kim Jong Un's commitment to dismantle it carried enormous symbolic and practical weight. When he sat across from President Trump in Singapore, this promise briefly offered hope for genuine denuclearization progress. Within weeks of their historic meeting, satellite imagery confirmed that North Korea had indeed begun dismantling key infrastructure at Sohai. The regime destroyed a rocket engine test stand, demolished fuel and oxidizer bunkers, and even removed the rail-mounted building used to assemble space launch vehicles. South Korean intelligence officials visited the site in October 2018 and confirmed the dismantlement was proceeding as promised. But the diplomatic honeymoon didn't last. When the February 2019 Hanoi summit between Trump and Kim collapsed without an agreement, North Korea's true intentions quickly became clear. Dismantlement was always intended to be temporary, a reversible confidence-building measure that could be undone the moment negotiations soured. It was obvious that Kim's pledge to Trump would be the latest in a decades-long line of broken North Korean promises. The 1994 agreed framework, the 2005 six-party talks joint statement, numerous moratoriums on missile testing, all ended the same way, with North Korea pocketing whatever benefits it could extract, while secretly advancing its weapons programs. Now, all eyes were on Sohai to see exactly what Kim would do next. Few were surprised when, within months, commercial satellite imagery began to show reconstruction activity at Sohai. The test stands were rebuilt, new infrastructure appeared, and by December 2019, North Korea announced it had conducted what was described as a, quote, very important test at the facility. While North Korean authorities have garnered a reputation for exaggerating their accomplishments, careful analysis of satellite images revealed distinctive burn patterns in the vegetation around the facility's test stands, clear evidence that rocket engine tests were indeed taking place. But Kim didn't simply intend to rebuild Sohai as it had been previously. In March 2022, he gave the order for a dramatic modernization and expansion of the facility. By July 2025, after 28 months of construction, commercial satellite imagery from Planet Labs revealed the completion of new infrastructure at the site. Rising from the waters off North Korea's northwest coast, a massive maritime pier now extends into the Yellow Sea. According to satellite operator ICEYE, the pier, quote, enables transport of larger rocket components than previously possible via rail. For a regime obsessed with projecting power through increasingly massive missiles, this represents a crucial logistical breakthrough, at least on paper. The facility's remote location in North Pyongan province, nestled among hills close to the Chinese border, has always presented the North Koreans with a fundamental problem. Their largest rockets, like the 95-foot-long Cholima-1 satellite launch vehicles, have had to be transported by truck over difficult terrain to reach the launch pads. Rail connections exist, but they're limited in what they can handle. Kim's engineers appear to have solved this with typical North Korean grandiosity. That massive rocket components can't easily be transported over land, bring them by sea instead. The new pier, complete with a jetty and docking facilities for deeper draft vessels, theoretically allows North Korea to ship rocket stages, fuel tanks, and other oversized components directly to the launch site. Recent satellite imagery reveals the scope of this expansion beyond just the pier itself. Imagery from July 9th shows the pier with docked vessels, suggesting it may already be operational and capable of handling the deeper draft ships it was designed for. Meanwhile, construction continues on underground tunnels and roadways designed to connect different parts of the sprawling facility, linking the internal rail systems directly to the coastal launch pad and creating seamless logistics pathways once components arrive at the site. The pier solves the problem of getting massive rocket parts to Sohai, while these internal connections ensure they can be moved efficiently to wherever they're needed within the complex. However, North Korea's impressive new infrastructure masks a fundamental problem. Their rockets still don't work reliably. At the end of 2023, Kim Jong Un confidently promised 3 additional spy satellite launches throughout the following year, yet the regime managed exactly 0 successful launches. In May 2024, North Korea's most recent satellite launch attempt ended in spectacular failure when their Cholima-1 rocket exploded during its first stage of flight, a disaster so complete that even North Korea's state media couldn't spin it as success. Indeed, of the 9 satellite launches North Korea is believed to have attempted since 1998, only 3 have been considered successful, an unacceptable failure rate for any space program that wants to be taken seriously. The regime's ambitious infrastructure projects have historically struggled to translate into reliable operational performance. They can build impressive facilities, pave roads, and construct elaborate piers, but the fundamental technical challenges of rocket science continue to elude them. The gap between North Korean propaganda and North Korean engineering competence remains as wide as ever. Nevertheless, determined not to allow the ineptitude of his own engineers to hold back his ambition, Kim Jong Un has turned elsewhere for assistance. Recent years have seen him develop a deepening partnership with Vladimir Putin. The 2 heavily sanctioned nations signed a comprehensive military agreement in 2024, including a mutual defense clause during a rare visit by Putin to Pyongyang. However, it seems this is more than just diplomatic cooperation. It's a practical exchange of North Korean cannon fodder for Russian technical assistance. According to South Korean officials, as part of growing ties with Moscow, North Korea is likely receiving help from Russia on its satellite and rocket programs in exchange for sending troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine. So far, the transaction has proven costly for North Korea. Seoul has reported that around 600 North Korean soldiers have lost their lives, and thousands more have been wounded fighting for Russia in Ukraine's Kursk region. Yet Kim appears willing to pay this price for access to Russian space technology and expertise that his isolated regime cannot achieve independently. Recent intelligence suggests this collaboration may be accelerating. Renewed engine testing activity detected at Sohai in June 2025, the first in more than a year, could indicate North Korea is experimenting with new propulsion technology acquired through Russian cooperation. The sophisticated infrastructure now emerging at the facility also suggests access to engineering expertise that far exceeds North Korea's historical capabilities. This is a partnership born of mutual desperation, 2 pariah states pooling their resources to challenge the international order that has isolated them both. Yet it also exposes both nations' weaknesses. North Korea's inability to develop its domestic rocket program without external assistance, and the extent of Russia's manpower crisis in Ukraine. The Sohai Pier represents just one element of Kim's latest round of grandiose military projects. In recent months, North Korea has announced plans for additional 5,000-ton destroyers, with a 3rd vessel supposedly ready by October 2025. This is an ambitious timeline that mirrors their consistently overpromised satellite launch schedules. Meanwhile, Kim has ramped up his typical bellicose rhetoric, recently urging troops to prepare, quote, for real war during artillery exercises, the same kind of performative saber-rattling that's characterized his regime for years. It all forms part of a familiar story when it comes to North Korea. Superficially impressive new projects designed more for show than substance. Military grandstanding, full of empty promises and threats. and a general disconnect from reality when it comes to their power. Whether this latest round of infrastructure expansion will prove any more successful than previous efforts remains to be seen. But if North Korea's track record is any guide, the gap between Kim's ambitions and his regime's actual capabilities is likely to persist, no matter how many piers they build or how much Russian assistance they receive.